What up, YouTube? Here with a review video for this year's Money in the Bank. This is how I do my wrestling review videos. I will give every match that happened on the card a match rating out of a 5, and I will give the whole event a rating out of a 10 at the end of the video. And without any further ado, let's get to the reviewing part for this year's WWE Money in the Bank. The opening contest of this year's Money in the Bank was a men's ladder match for the Money in the Bank briefcase, and this year's Money in the Bank ladder match winner is Damian Priest. And leading to this match, it wasn't that much of a surprise because it looks like the Judgment Day is going to break up. If y'all remember, I think it was like 2 weeks ago where Damian Priest wrestled Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title, and he asked Finn Balor to not accompany him during that match. And then towards the end of that match, Finn Balor made an interference on behalf of Damian Priest, and then Damian Priest asked him, "What are you doing out here?" And it looks like they're going to push for Damian Priest to be a babyface and go single and break apart from the Judgment Day. And if y'all saw Monday Night Raw last night, it looks like there's more of a tear with the Judgment Day, more of tension going on with Damian Priest and Finn Balor. And who knows? I don't know what SummerSlam is going to look like. I don't know what the world title scene is going to look like over there on Monday Night Raw, and who Seth Rollins may defend his World Heavyweight title against at SummerSlam. However, it does look like they're leading to a feud with Damian Priest and Finn Balor. And Damian Priest, he's a former United States champion. He was doing this thing on NXT as well, and as well as the indie scene. And for him to be this year's Money in the Bank ladder match winner, it's a good look on him. And this pretty much guarantees him to be a potential future world champion. And they have built him up right because, as I said, from the indie scene, and then he got signed to the WWE. He was a household name on NXT, and then he was a mid-card champion, and he plays an important role in the Judgment Day. And then now it looks like the Judgment Day is going to split, and he holds the Money in the Bank briefcase. And if he does successfully cash in the Money in the Bank, unlike many former Money in the Bank ladder match winners, then they have built them up right, timely, very well. And then this Money in the Bank ladder match, as I said, good opening contest. It sets up the pace for the rest of the show. And this gimmick, this theme, the ladder match is one of the most fun matches that pro wrestling can produce. And it always has highlight reel elements in this match. And that's what we saw. And y'all can go check out the clips for yourselves because there was many highlight reel spots that was featured in this match. I'm not going to go over every highlight reel spots that happened in this match. And this year's favorite, though, who the fans were saying is going to win the Money in the Bank, and who the fans were pulling forward to win the Money in the Bank this year, was LA Knight. And it looked like right before Damian Priest won the Money in the Bank, it looked like he was going to win the Money in the Bank because everyone was out, and then LA Knight climbed to the top of the ladder. It looked like he had the Money in the briefcase in his possession. Then came Damian Priest and hit him with the South of Heaven from the top of the ladder, and he dropped him from there, and he got the Money in the Bank briefcase. And that's how the match ended. And I will give this year's Money in the Bank ladder match for the men's a match rating of a 4 out of a 5. And then the next match on the card was for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. The champions Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defending their women's tag team titles. They won that tag team title, I think, like a month ago. And I would say they are the most strong women's tag team in the women's tag team department because of their background, because they both come from MMA. Ronda Rousey, she's well accomplished. I say she's probably the most successful and the most well-known women's fighter in MMA history. And then Shayna Baszler, she was a former NXT Women's World Champion, and then after she got a call up to the main roster, they kind of dropped the ball on her. And then for her to partner up with her real life friend Ronda Rousey, that makes her more relevant in the main roster scene. And then the tag team division over there on the main roster has been lackluster ever since I say they introduced the women's tag team titles. I say it's really an unnecessary title out there on the main roster and at NXT as well. The women's tag team titles, it's like the roster isn't deep enough, I'll say, to have a women's tag team titles. Anyways, that's just my opinion though. And then they defended their women's tag team titles versus Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, they were tag team champions months before. They had to vacate that title because Liv Morgan had suffered an injury. And then 2 weeks ago, Liv Morgan made her comeback to the WWE. And then her and Raquel Rodriguez got the challenge for the tag team titles, which they never lost in the first place, against Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Turns out that a surprise happened because Shayna Baszler turned on Ronda Rousey, and this is a good look for Shayna Baszler because this would catapult her to go up there versus Ronda Rousey, who is one of the more relevant superstars, one of the more relevant wrestlers on the female roster in the whole entire WWE right now. And then Shayna Baszler, as I said, ever since she got the call up from NXT to the main roster, they haven't shed too much light on her. And then for her to get into a rivalry with Ronda Rousey, this would make her more relevant, and this would get her to show off her talent and get to show off her skills, and this would put more of a spotlight on Shayna Baszler, and she's totally capable of being a major superstar on the main women's roster because as her in-ring ability is up there, and as well as her run on NXT has been a successful one as well. And then if this rivalry goes good with Ronda Rousey, that would make her to go on a good run like she did on NXT, to push that many fans has been wanting her to go on ever since she got the call up from NXT. And I was surprised that this happened because Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey just have formed a team together and had just recently won the tag team titles. And as I said, I think those two were the only legit tag team in the main roster right now. And for them to drop the tag team titles when they've just won it, that's why it was a surprise. As I said, I'm looking forward to the rivalry with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, though. And then with Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, them not having too much to do as a singles competitor, them being tag team champions, that's a good look on them as well. And I'll give this match a rating of a 2 out of a 5. And then the next match on the card was for the Intercontinental title. Gunther defending his Intercontinental title versus Matt Riddle. They've been building this rivalry up on Monday Night Raw, and I think this is Gunther's first title defense on a pay-per-view event as a Monday Night Raw member, as a Monday Night Raw wrestler. And then Gunther, ever since he got the call up from NXT, if y'all remember over there on NXT UK, he's, I think, still the longest reigning NXT UK champion in history. And then he was there on NXT and he had a mediocre run on NXT. And then after he got the call up to the main roster, he won the Intercontinental title immediately and hasn't lost the Intercontinental title yet. I don't know if he's undefeated as a singles competitor. I don't think he has got a clean loss yet. So after Roman Reigns, this has been the most impressive title run currently in the WWE right now. And he's held that title for over a year. And to add Matt Riddle as yet another successful title defense, that is a good look on Gunther's resume. And I'll give this match a rating of a 2.5 out of a 5. It was more of a time filler match. And they sold the storyline of Matt Riddle having an ankle injury. And that was the focus of the match. Gunther being a in-ring technician, that's his style of wrestling, and he's very technical with his skills, and that's why he's like a surgeon in the ring, and that's why he was working on the ankle, and he got the victory that way, and he got the yet another successful title defense as the Intercontinental Champion over a well-decorated wrestler like Matt Riddle. And then while he celebrated after his match, Drew McIntyre made his return to the WWE. If y'all remember this year's WrestleMania, Gunther successfully defended his Intercontinental title versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus in a three-way match. And then Drew McIntyre, he's been talked about as being a potential free agent and him possibly leaving the WWE when his contract expires. And his contract, I think, is up September, and there was talks about him not being happy and not satisfied with his run in the WWE. And for him to come back at the Money in the Bank, that cleared up a lot of answers, because Drew McIntyre, if he came back at Money in the Bank, that means that Drew McIntyre probably is not going to leave the WWE and go anywhere else. As y'all know, he got drafted to Raw, and that's why him and Gunther is going to get into a rivalry, because they're both over there on Raw, and that looks like it's going to be the Intercontinental title scene. And ever since Gunther won the Intercontinental title has got more of a relevancy, and they put prestige back into the Intercontinental title, and that's a part of the WWE that has been lacking, and that's the fact that the mid-card titles hasn't been held up to the prestige that it deserves. And to have two wrestlers like Gunther and Drew McIntyre compete for the Intercontinental title, and that is, I would say, a definite good look, and it's going to be a rivalry to look out for. That's going to be intriguing over there on Monday Night Raw. Anyways, the next match on the card was Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio. And this rivalry, I say, is a good rivalry, because Dominic Mysterio, ever since he got on a run with the Judgment Day, he's been getting the push, and he's got the momentum that I would say is probably one of the hottest in the WWE right now. After he got into a rivalry with Rey Mysterio, and that's after he turned on Rey Mysterio and joined the Judgment Day, and then he got on this bad boy gimmick, and then that's gotten him over with the crowd and the fans in the WWE. And with Rhea Ripley by his side, who's the current women's champion over there on Monday Night Raw, that makes for a good look on Dominic Mysterio as well. And right now, as far as crowd reactions go, he's up there as one of the best talent in the whole WWE right now. And the fact is that he doesn't even need to win for him to look good and to keep his momentum going, because it suits his character. And then Cody Rhodes, after he got into a rivalry with Brock Lesnar after his unsuccessful title shot versus Roman Reigns, after he won the Royal Rumble this year, he got the challenge at this year's WrestleMania and he failed. And then he got into a rivalry with Brock Lesnar, and he had that fluke win at Backlash. And then he had that babyface run at this year's Night of Champions, because Brock Lesnar kayfabe hurt his arms, and then Brock Lesnar submitted him at Night of Champions. And then Dominic Mysterio, as I said, who's got the momentum on his side right now, he got into a rivalry after they had a face-off at the Miz show, and then this gives Cody Rhodes something to do, while Dominic Mysterio also needs something to do as well. And then with both wrestlers being one of the well-over wrestlers with the crowd, that calls for a good rivalry over there on Monday Night Raw. And the match itself was all right. It was mediocre. It was more of a time filler match for both wrestlers, giving them something to do, with both wrestlers being a relevant wrestler in the WWE right now. And Cody Rhodes got the win. I would say it was deserving, because Cody Rhodes, after losing the way he did versus Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, to get a victory over a well-received, well-over wrestler like Dominic Mysterio, this continues his momentum, his carry-on as a top wrestler over there on Monday Night Raw. And if y'all didn't see Monday Night Raw last night, it looks like they're going to continue to feud with Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes for SummerSlam. And this adds on to Cody Rhodes to go into a bigger rivalry and continue that big rivalry out there with Brock Lesnar on Monday Night Raw, because that's one of the most important rivalries going on over there on Monday Night Raw. And the match itself, I'll give that match a rating of a 3 out of a 5. And then the next match on the card was for the Women's Money in the Bank. This year's Women's Money in the Bank ladder match winner is Io Sky. I expected Io Sky to win this match because she is well over with the crowd. She is, I would say, one of the fan favorites in the WWE right now. And the Genius of the Sky, that's her gimmick name. She won in a very genius way. Both Bayley, who is her damage control partner, and Becky Lynch, they were both trying to climb to the top of the ladder to get the Money in the Bank briefcase. And as y'all know, both Bayley and Becky Lynch, they're very well accomplished wrestlers, former women's world champions on NXT and the WWE's main roster. And Becky Lynch and Bayley both have been, I would say, a key factor, major players in the women's revolution in the WWE, the revival of women's wrestling in the WWE. And Io Sky, after she got the call up from NXT, she was very well accomplished over there on NXT. She joined a very strong group, the Damage Control, with her and Dakota Kai and Bayley. And Bayley, who took time off from the WWE after an injury for like a year, she comes back with this group. Both Dakota Kai and Bayley. Bayley had already been accomplished, and then she brought Dakota Kai and Io Sky along the way from NXT after they got the call up. And that's a good look on Dakota Kai and Io Sky, because to be with Bayley in a group with Bayley, that will make them automatically relevant, because Bayley being a very well accomplished wrestler on the main roster already. And Io Sky and Dakota Kai, they were both former not NXT, WWE's main roster women's tag team champions. And ever since they joined the Damage Control, they have been a very well accomplished women's group, as well as a very relevant a part of the women's wrestling on the main roster. And then right now, Dakota Kai is currently injured, and that's why right now Damage Control is only ran by Io Sky and Bayley. And I don't know if they're going to break up, because it looks like Io Sky, if y'all didn't know, at Backlash, she got to challenge Bianca Belair for the women's title. And if y'all saw the reception that she got as a singles wrestler, she's very well over and very well liked by the crowd. And they were kind of teasing the breakup with Damage Control. It looks like mainly with Io Sky and Bayley, because after Bayley made the interference on behalf of Io Sky, it looked like Io Sky was displeased. And if y'all saw the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, Bayley sneak attacked Io Sky to attempt to win the Money in the Bank. And then, as I said, how Io Sky won this ladder match, very genius way, while Becky Lynch and Bayley were both trying to climb to the top of the ladder to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Io Sky cuffed both of them to the ladder, and then she climbed to the top and retrieved and won the Money in the Bank briefcase. And now she is the new winner of this year's Money in the Bank. And Io Sky, as I said, she is one of the best talent in the women's main roster right now, and this pretty much guarantees her to be a future women's world champion. And I'll give this whole ladder match for this year's Money in the Bank women's match, I will give this match a rating of a 3.5 out of a 5. Then the next match on the card was for the World Heavyweight title. Seth Rollins defending his World Heavyweight title for the first time on a pay-per-view event versus Finn Balor. And this remember, this match was not this match, this event of the Money in the Bank this year was hosted out there in London, England. And Finn Balor being from Ireland, I think that was very well suited for him to challenge for the world title versus Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins' first pay-per-view event as a world champion. He has defended the world title over there on Raw and NXT. However, this was his first world title defense on a pay-per-view event, and they built this world title matchup very well over there on Raw. If you didn't know, Finn Balor was the first ever Universal Champion. However, he had to vacate that title immediately after his first defense at SummerSlam of 2016 after Seth Rollins had injured him after hitting him with the buckle bomb. And then that's the storyline that they have built this rivalry on, that Finn Balor wanted to take the world title from Seth Rollins and injure him just like the way how Seth Rollins injured him after Finn Balor had freshly won the Universal title back in 2016. And that's why I thought this match was built up very well. And the match quality itself was good. When you have two wrestlers like Seth Rollins and Finn Balor who wrestle at a high caliber, you're expected to have a good quality wrestling match, and that's what we got. Seth Rollins successfully did defend his world title though, and he won the match after hitting the pedigree, then hitting the curb stomp on Finn Balor to secure the win. And Damian Priest, he was there ringside kind of teasing that he might cash in the Money in the Bank after the match if he saw the opportunity there. However, he didn't. And this kind of teased more of a breakup as well with the Judgment Day, especially with Finn Balor and Damian Priest, though, because Damian Priest, he didn't help Finn Balor. And after the match, it looked like Finn Balor wasn't pleased with the fact that Damian Priest didn't make any interferences on his behalf during the match to help Finn Balor, a fellow Judgment Day member, to win the world title versus Seth Rollins. That's why Finn Balor looked at him like, what are you doing out here if you're not here to help? And it looked like Damian Priest was just out there for himself to see if there was the right opportunity for him to cash in the Money in the Bank on whoever wins this match, and not there on the side of Finn Balor to help him win the world title or to at least cheer on his fellow Judgment Day member. And I'll give this match a rating of a 3 out of 5. It could have been a better match, however, because of the time slot, because of it not being the main event, they didn't get to have, I would say, the match quality that it could have produced, because both Finn Balor and Seth Rollins could have definitely put on a better match. It was due to the time slot of the event. That's why they couldn't produce a better match than what it was. That's why I'll give this match a rating of a 3 out of 5. A decent match nonetheless, though. Anyways, the main event for this year's Money in the Bank was the Civil War, as they teased it, with the Bloodline, the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. As y'all know, the Bloodline is split now. It's Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. That's the only guy I would say Roman Reigns has right now. That's Solo Sikoa. And the Usos split apart from the Bloodline after Jimmy Uso was kicked out of the Bloodline after super kicking Roman Reigns at Night of Champions and causing Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa potentially being tag team champions. And then Roman Reigns asked Jimmy Uso for an apology. Jimmy Uso didn't apologize, and then that's what got Jimmy Uso kicked out of the Bloodline. And then Jey Uso, he joined forces with his brother Jimmy, and then that's how the split happened. And this match, I'll say, was definitely the best match on the card. It was a very lengthy, very well put together main event that we saw, and the Usos got the win. For the first time since December of 2019, Roman Reigns took the fall, and That's over 3 years, 3.5 years that Roman Reigns hasn't got pinned, and he got pinned by Jey Uso after Jey Uso hit Roman Reigns with a splash, following after multiple super kicks that the Usos hit him with. And man, the biggest false finish was when Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. I think this is a very cool finisher. It's a Samoan spike and a spear hit at the same time, and then Jey Uso was able to kick out of that. And then not only that, Jey Uso also got hit with a spear by Roman Reigns alone, and then yet he was able to kick out of that still. And then Solo Sikoa, he was taken out when he went for a splash to the announce table, from the barricade to the announce table. He was on top of the barricade, and then he went for a splash onto the table. I think it was Jimmy Uso that moved out of the way, and then that took Solo Sikoa out, and then that left Roman Reigns alone with the Usos, and then the Usos were able to take advantage of the fact that Roman Reigns was left alone, and then they double teamed him, and then Jey Uso hit him with the splash for the finish. And as I said, very well put together match, a very good main event for this year's Money in the Bank, and I'll give this match a rating of a 4 out of a 5. And I wonder how this storyline is going to go on for SummerSlam. I don't know if it's Jey Uso that's going to challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal title, or I don't know. We saw Jey Uso. He was one of the first contenders to challenge Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal title ever since Roman Reigns began his most impressive reign in the modern era history. Now, I don't know what the title scene for the Undisputed Universal title is going to look like over there on SmackDown for SummerSlam. Now, I don't know if it's going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be Jey Uso with Jimmy Uso accompanying him, challenging for the Undisputed Universal title versus Roman Reigns with Solo Sikoa accompanying him. I think that's the angle that they're going with, because Jey Uso got the win for the Usos versus Roman Reigns at this year's main event for the Money in the Bank. Anyways, I will give this whole event a rating of a 7 out of a 10. You guys let me know what your opinions are from this year's Money in the Bank. Comment, subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. And that does it for this video. I'm out of here, y'all, and peace.